The stars looked cold from the bridge of the flagship. Commander Kira Veltis stood before the massive viewing window, her hands clasped behind her back. She wore the silver uniform of the Valthrine Empire, the most powerful force in the known galaxy. Her purple skin gleamed under the artificial lights and her dark eyes showed nothing. No fear, no joy. Nothing at all. That was how it should be. The Valthrine had evolved beyond emotions thousands of years ago. They believed feelings made people weak and stupid. Logic was everything. Control was everything. Kira had never felt anything in her life, and she was proud of that fact. Commander, a young officer approached her. We are approaching the Sol system. The planet Earth is ready for observation. Kira nodded once. Prepare the landing teams. I want full reports on their military capabilities, their government structures, and their psychological weaknesses. The officers saluted and left. Kira turned back to the window. Earth appeared in the distance, a small blue and green ball floating in the darkness. Such a tiny planet, such an insignificant species. The humans had only just discovered faster-than-light travel last year. They were children playing with toys they didn't understand. The Valthrine Council had given her a simple mission. Study the humans. Decide if they could join the Empire peacefully, or if they needed to be controlled by force. Kira already knew the answer. Every species needed control at first. Humans would be no different. 3 days later, Kira stood in the diplomatic station orbiting Earth's moon. The station was a joint project between the Valthrine and several other species. It was supposed to show cooperation and friendship. Kira thought it was inefficient. Emotions like friendship only complicated things. She was reviewing tactical reports when someone knocked on her office door. Enter, she said without looking up. A human walked in. He was young, maybe 30 Earth years, with dark hair and bright eyes. He wore the simple blue uniform of the station's engineering crew. He smiled at her. Actually smiled, like seeing her was something good. Commander Veltis? I'm Day. I've been assigned to help you with anything you need while you're here. Technical support, station navigation, that kind of thing. Kira looked at him for exactly 2 seconds. I require nothing. You may leave. The smile didn't fade. Okay, but I'm in Workshop 7 if you change your mind. Oh, and welcome to the neighborhood. Earth's pretty great once you get to know it. He left before she could respond. Kira stared at the closed door. Strange. Most species showed proper respect when meeting a Valthrine commander. This human had treated her like an old friend. How inefficient. How illogical. She returned to her reports and forgot about him. The next morning, Kira was studying Earth's military history. Humans fought constantly. Against nature. Against each other. Against anything that challenged them. They had nearly destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons, yet somehow they survived. Their emotions made them violent and unpredictable. Someone knocked again. The door opened before she could respond. Day walked in carrying 2 cups. Morning, Commander. I brought coffee. Fair warning. It's an acquired taste, but most species love it eventually. He placed a cup on her desk and sat down in the chair across from her. Just sat down, without permission, like they were equals. Kira felt something she didn't recognize. It might have been irritation. I did not invite you to sit. I did not request refreshments. Leave immediately. Right, sorry. Still, try the coffee. It's good for long work sessions. He stood up and walked to the door. Then he turned back. Tough day? Every day is the same. That sounds lonely. He smiled again, that strange human smile. I'll bring you tea tomorrow. Might suit you better. He left. Kira looked at the cup of coffee. She should throw it away. Accepting gifts was unprofessional. But she was curious about human customs. She took one small sip. It was bitter and hot and strangely pleasant. She took another sip. Then another. By the time she returned to her reports, the cup was empty. Days passed. Day kept coming back. Every morning he brought a different Earth beverage, tea, juice, something called hot chocolate. Every time he smiled. Every time he asked how she was doing. Every time Kira told him to leave. But she noticed he never seemed offended. He never seemed hurt. He just accepted her coldness and remained warm anyway. It made no logical sense. One evening, Kira was watching surveillance footage of Earth. She was supposed to be studying their defenses, but instead she found herself watching everyday human life. A mother holding her child. 2 old people laughing on a bench. A group of young humans playing some kind of game in a park. They touched each other constantly, hugged, held hands, patted shoulders. The Valthrine never touched unless absolutely necessary. Touch was primitive, yet these humans seemed to need it like they needed air. Beautiful, isn't it? Kira spun around. Day stood in the doorway. How did you enter without authorization? Door was open. You were pretty focused. He walked over and looked at the screen. That's Beijing. I grew up near there. Well, a few 100 kilometers away, but close enough. You should not be here. Probably not. But I saw your light on and figured you were working late again. You're always working, Commander. Don't you ever take breaks? Breaks are inefficient. Breaks are human. He gestured to the screen. What were you watching? Kira hesitated. She should lie. She should tell him it was classified. But instead she said, I was observing your species' social behaviors. You touch each other frequently. Why? Dee looked surprised by the question, then thoughtful. I guess because it makes us feel connected. Reminds us we're not alone. Physical contact releases chemicals in our brains that make us feel good and safe. That sounds like a weakness. Maybe. Or maybe it's a strength. Connection makes us want to protect each other. Makes us willing to sacrifice for people we love. He looked at her curiously. Do Valthrine ever touch each other? Only when necessary. That sounds lonely, he said again, softer this time. Kira looked back at the screen. The mother was still holding her child. The child was laughing. Something in Kira's chest felt tight. Loneliness is an emotion. I do not experience emotions, if you say so. Day moved toward the door, then stopped. Hey, Commander? Tomorrow's my day off. I'm going down to Earth to visit my sister and her kids. Want to come? I'd be interesting to see the planet up close. Absolutely not. I have work to complete. Okay, offer stands if you change your mind. That smile again. Good night, Kira. He used her name. Not her rank, her name. He left before she could correct him. Kira sat in the empty office for a long time. The surveillance footage kept playing. Humans laughing, crying, fighting, hugging, living with such intensity it seemed exhausting. She touched her own chest where that tight feeling remained. Maybe it was a malfunction. Maybe she needed medical attention. But somehow she knew it wasn't a physical problem. It was something else. Something she didn't have a name for. Something that scared her more than any battle ever had. She looked at the empty doorway where Dee had been standing. Then she returned to her reports, working through the night as always, trying very hard not to think about that smile. Kira spent the next week analyzing everything about humanity. Their wars filled centuries of history. They fought over land, resources, ideas, and things they called gods. They killed millions of their own kind. They built weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. By every logical measure, humans should have gone extinct long ago, but they didn't. That was the part Kira couldn't understand. After every war, they rebuilt. After every disaster, they helped each other. After every loss, they found hope. It made no sense. Any logical species would have learned to stop fighting, would have achieved perfect order. Instead, humans kept making the same emotional mistakes over and over. Yet they also created beautiful things. Music that made no logical sense but somehow felt important. Art that served no practical purpose. Stories about imaginary people and impossible events. They spent enormous resources on these useless things, and they seemed to treasure them more than weapons or technology. Kira was writing her 5th report when Day knocked and entered in the same motion. This had become his pattern. Knock while opening. It should have annoyed her. For some reason it didn't. Morning, Commander. Green tea today. Also, I brought rice cakes. My sister made them yesterday. He put both items on her desk and sat down without asking. Kira had stopped telling him to leave. It was inefficient to repeat the same command when he never followed it anyway. Your sister. You have mentioned her before. She is genetically related to you? Yup, older by 3 years. She's got 2 kids, both completely wild. Good wild, though. Full of energy and questions. Day's whole face changed when he talked about them. His eyes got brighter. His smile got wider. Do Valthrine have families? We have genetic donors. Once a Valthrine child reaches 5 years of age, they are raised in education centers. Family bonds are considered primitive attachments. Day looked sad. Actually sad, like her answer hurt him somehow. That sounds really lonely, Kira. There was that word again. Lonely. I have explained this. I do not experience loneliness. It is an emotion. Right, sorry. But he didn't look sorry. He looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he changed the subject. So what are you working on today? I am calculating the probability of successful human integration into the Empire. Current estimates are not favorable. What does that mean? Kira met his eyes. It means the Council may decide your species requires behavioral correction. Forced compliance, military occupation of your world. She expected fear, maybe anger. Instead, Day just nodded slowly. Because we're too emotional? Too chaotic? Yes. And what do you think? Do you think we need to be controlled? It was a direct question. Kira had been trained to give direct answers. But she hesitated. I think humans are inefficient and illogical. Your emotions cause constant conflict. You make poor decisions based on feelings rather than facts. You waste resources on meaningless activities. She paused. But you also survive things that would destroy other species. You create things of great complexity and beauty. You demonstrate loyalty and self-sacrifice that exceeds logical parameters. I do not understand how both things can be true. Day smiled. Not his usual cheerful smile. This one was gentler, sadder. That's because you're trying to understand us with logic. We're not a logic puzzle, Kira. We're people. Messy, complicated people. Mess and complication are problems to be solved. Or maybe they're just part of being alive. Kira had no response to that. Day stood up and moved to the door. I'm going to Earth again this weekend. Serious offer, come with me. See humanity up close before you decide our fate. What's the worst that could happen? Many things. Diplomatic incidents, security breaches, cultural contamination, or you might have a good time. He waved and left. Kira stared at her reports for a long time after he was gone. Then, for reasons she couldn't explain even to herself, she began searching for information about Earth's culture instead of its military. She found herself watching videos of human music, reading human literature, studying human philosophy. One philosopher had written something that stuck in her mind. We are not human because we think. We are human because we feel. Illogical. Completely illogical. Yet the words kept repeating in her thoughts. The weekend came. Kira told herself she was not going to Earth. She had work to complete. Reports to file. Analysis to perform. Going to Earth would be inappropriate, unprofessional, inefficient. She was in the shuttle bay at exactly the time Day had mentioned. She told herself she was just there to observe the departure procedures. Nothing more. Day arrived wearing casual clothes instead of his uniform. His face lit up when he saw her. You came! I mean, I hoped you would, but I didn't think you actually would. I have not decided to accompany you. I am simply here to observe. Okay. Well, the shuttle leaves in 5 minutes. If you're still here observing in 4 minutes, I'll grab you a seat. That smile again. Always that smile. Kira stood completely still for exactly 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Then she walked onto the shuttle and sat down next to Day. This is for research purposes only. I need direct observation of human social structures. Sure, research, got it. He was trying not to smile too wide. Failing, but trying. The descent to Earth took 20 minutes. Kira watched through the window as they dropped through the atmosphere. She had seen thousands of planets from orbit. But somehow seeing Earth get closer made that tight feeling in her chest return. They landed in a city called Seoul. Kira had studied its history. 600 years old, destroyed multiple times by war, rebuilt every time. The streets were crowded with humans walking, talking, laughing. The noise was overwhelming. So many voices, so many emotions happening all at once. Day led her through the crowds with ease. People bumped into each other constantly. They said excuse me or sorry and kept moving. Some people smiled at strangers for no reason. Others held hands with people they were walking beside. Children ran between adults playing some kind of chasing game. Too much? Day asked, noticing her expression. It is chaotic. Yeah, cities are like that. But there's a rhythm to it if you pay attention. Everyone's going somewhere. Everyone's got a purpose. It's organized chaos. He pointed to a small building on the corner. That's my sister's restaurant. Come on, inside was even more crowded. The smell of cooking food filled the air. Humans sat at small tables eating and talking. Behind a counter, a woman who looked like Day but older was cooking with incredible speed. Two small children ran around helping carry dishes. The woman saw Day and yelled something in a language Kira didn't know. Korean, probably. Dee yelled back, then turned to Kira. She says, "Welcome. Also, she's going to feed you until you explode, fair warning." The woman came over and looked at Kira with open curiosity. She said something to Day, who laughed. She asks if you're my girlfriend. I told her you're my commander. She says that's boring. Kira didn't understand the word girlfriend, but she recognized the tone. Testing, teasing. The woman was joking with her brother, showing affection through playful conflict. Inefficient, but somehow pleasant to watch. The two children approached shyly. The older one, maybe 7 years old, looked up at Kira with wide eyes. "Are you an alien?" "Yes, I am Valthrine." "Cool. Do you have superpowers?" "I have superior strength, enhanced vision, and advanced cognitive abilities." The child's eyes got wider. "So yes, superpowers." Then he ran off to tell his sister Day's sister brought food. So much food. Rice, vegetables, meat cooked in complex ways, things Kira had no names for. She wants to know if Valthrine can eat Earth food. Day translated. "My biology can process most carbon-based nutrition." More Korean words. Day laughed. She says that's the saddest way anyone has ever said yes to free food. Kira tried everything. Some of it was too spicy, some was too sweet. But some of it was good. Actually good. She found herself eating more than necessary, not for nutrition, but because the taste was pleasant. The children came back with drawings. They had drawn Kira with wings and a crown. "You look like a space princess," the younger one said. "I am a military commander." "Space princess commander," the child corrected seriously. Something happened then. Something Kira had never experienced. The corner of her mouth moved upward slightly. Just a tiny movement, but Day saw it. His eyes got soft and his smile got gentler. Was that almost a smile, Commander? No, a facial muscle malfunction. Sure, that's definitely what that was. They stayed for hours. Kira watched Day with his family. The way he picked up his nephew and spun him around. The way he helped his sister in the kitchen without being asked. The way he listened when his niece told him a long, complicated story about her school day. He was completely present, completely engaged, like nothing else in the universe mattered except these people. On the shuttle back to the station, Kira was quiet. Day didn't push her to talk. He just sat beside her, comfortable with the silence. Finally, she spoke. "Why did you want me to come to Earth?" "Because I wanted you to see us. Really see us. Not as data or reports, but as people." "Why does that matter to you?" Day looked at her seriously. "Because you're going to help decide our future. I wanted you to understand what you'd be deciding about. And if I decide humans are too dangerous, too chaotic, what then? Then at least you'll know what you're destroying." Kira looked out the window at Earth getting smaller behind them. She thought about Day's sister cooking with such passion, about his nephew's drawing. Kira's report to the Valthrine Council was careful and precise. She wrote about human technological capabilities, which were limited. She wrote about their military organization, which was fragmented. She wrote about their emotional nature, which made them unpredictable. But she also wrote something else, something that felt dangerous to put into words. She wrote that humanity showed remarkable adaptability, that their emotional bonds created strong social structures, that their creativity and determination made them valuable potential allies. She recommended a slow integration process, cultural exchange, mutual learning, partnership rather than conquest. The Council's response came 3 days later. It was not what she expected. "Commander Veltis, your report has been reviewed and rejected. Your recommendations show clear signs of emotional compromise. Commander Thane will arrive within the week to replace you and implement proper protocols. You are to prepare all files for transfer and await reassignment." Kira read the message 5 times. Emotional compromise. They thought she had been infected by human feelings. They thought she was no longer capable of logical judgment. After 15 years of perfect service, they doubted her. The worst part was they might be right. She stood at her window looking at Earth, that small blue planet that had somehow gotten inside her head. Inside her chest, inside whatever part of her was changing in ways she couldn't control. Day found her there an hour later. He took one look at her face and knew something was wrong. "What happened?" "I have been removed from command. Another officer is coming to take my place." "Why? You've done everything they asked." I have been compromised. My judgment is no longer considered reliable. Day stepped closer. Compromised how? Kira looked at him. Really looked at him. This human who brought her tea every morning, who smiled for no logical reason, who had taken her to meet his family like she was someone who mattered. They believe I have been influenced by human emotions. They believe I can no longer make objective decisions about your species. And have you been influenced? Kira wanted to say no, wanted to explain that she was still perfectly logical, still perfectly in control. But she couldn't, not when he was standing so close, not when just seeing him made that tight feeling in her chest get tighter. I do not know, she whispered. I do not know what is happening to me. Day's expression changed, got softer, got sadder. Who's replacing you? Commander Thane. He is efficient, ruthless. He will not make my mistakes. What kind of mistakes are we talking about? Kira turned back to the window. She shouldn't tell him. It was against protocol. It was treason. But the words came out anyway. He will not recommend patience. He will recommend immediate action, forceful integration. Your planet will lose its autonomy. Your culture will be suppressed. Your people will be controlled. The silence lasted too long. When Kira finally looked at Day, his face was pale. When? He arrives in 6 days. Implementation will begin immediately after assessment. Perhaps 2 weeks total. 2 weeks until Earth loses its freedom. Yes. Day walked to the window and stood beside her, not touching but close, close enough that Kira could feel warmth radiating from his body. Humans were so warm. Will you help us? The question hung in the air like smoke. Kira knew what he was really asking. Would she betray the Empire? Would she risk everything she was, everything she had been, for a species she barely knew? Would she commit treason for a human who smiled too much? I cannot, she said. I have served the Empire my entire life. It is who I am. Without that, I am nothing. You're not nothing. You're Kira. That's enough. You do not understand. If I betray the Empire, I lose everything. My rank, my honor, my identity. My people will hunt me forever. I will be alone. You won't be alone. Day turned to look at her. You'll have us. You'll have Earth. You'll have people who care about you, not because of your rank or your service record, but because of who you are. And who am I? Her voice came out harsh, desperate. I am a soldier. I am a commander. I am Valthrine. Take those things away and what remains? I don't know. But I'd like to help you find out. He reached out slowly, giving her time to move away. When she didn't, he took her hand. Actually took it. Wrapped his warm fingers around hers. I think you're stronger than you know, Kira. I think you can make your own choices. Be your own person. The touch sent something electric through her arm, up into her chest, into her head. No one had voluntarily touched her in years, decades. The Valthrine didn't touch. It was primitive, unnecessary. So why did this feel so necessary, so important? She pulled her hand away. I need time to think. We don't have much time. I know. She looked at him one last time before walking away. I know. Kira spent 3 days alone. She didn't leave her quarters except for required duties. She didn't answer when Day knocked on her door. She sat in the dark and tried to calculate the logical choice, tried to find the rational solution, tried to be what she had always been. Cold, clear, certain. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw things that made no logical sense. A little boy's drawing, a woman cooking with passion. Day's smile. His hand reaching for hers. His voice saying, You're not nothing. On the 4th day, Kira made her decision. It was not logical. It was not rational. It was not what a Valthrine should do. But it was what she had to do anyway. She found Day in his workshop repairing some kind of engine component. He looked up when she entered, and his face showed so much hope it hurt to see. Kira, I was worried about you. I am going to help you, she said. No preamble, no explanation. Just the truth. Day put down his tools slowly. You're sure? No, I am not sure of anything anymore. But I cannot let your planet fall without trying to stop it. That would be wrong, illogical in a different way. What do you need from us? I need you to trust me. I need your planet's leaders to trust me. I am going to give you classified information. Defense grid locations, fleet formations, strategic weaknesses. With this information, Earth can prepare, can resist. It may not be enough, but it gives you a chance. They'll know it came from you. Yes. They'll call you a traitor. Yes, you'll lose everything. Kira looked at him, at this human who had somehow changed everything just by being kind, just by smiling, just by seeing her as something more than the Ice Queen. Not everything. Some things cannot be taken away once you have them. She didn't explain what she meant. She wasn't even sure herself. But Day smiled like he understood anyway. The next 2 days were busy. Kira transmitted encrypted data to carefully selected Earth contacts, military codes, ship specifications, tactical protocols, everything humanity would need to mount a defense. Every transmission was treason. Every file was betrayal. And every time she sent something, that tight feeling in her chest got a little lighter. Commander Thane arrived exactly on schedule. He was tall, even for a Valthrien with cold eyes and a reputation for brutal efficiency. Kira met him in the docking bay, standing at perfect attention. Commander Veltis, I am here to relieve you of duty. Understood, sir. All files have been prepared for transfer. The Council was disappointed in your report. They expected better from the Ice Queen. He said her nickname like it was a joke, like she had failed to live up to it. I provided accurate assessments based on available data. You provided compromised assessments based on emotional contamination. Do not worry. I will correct your mistakes. Within 1 month, Earth will be fully integrated into the Empire. Their resistance will be minimal. Kira kept her face empty. I wish you success in your mission, Commander. I do not need wishes. I need only logic and power, 2 things you seem to have forgotten. He walked past her toward the command center. Day was waiting in a side corridor. He seems nice, he said, trying for humor. Failing. He will be efficient, ruthless. He will not hesitate to use overwhelming force. Thanks to you, we'll be ready. You cannot win. Even with the information I provided, Earth's forces are no match for a Valthrien fleet. Maybe not, but we'll make them work for it. We're good at that. Stubborn. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. What will you do now? I am being reassigned. They will send me far from Earth, away from my mistake. You're not a mistake, Kira. Something in her chest cracked. Broke. Opened. She didn't know what to call it. I do not want to leave, she said. The words came out quiet, broken, honest. I do not want to go back to being what I was. Cold, empty, alone. Day stepped closer. Then don't stay, fight with us. I have already committed treason by helping you. If I defect completely, I become a fugitive, an enemy of the Empire. They will never stop hunting me. I know, but you'll be free. Really free, maybe for the first time. He reached for her hand again. This time she let him take it. Let his warmth seep into her cold skin. Stay, please. Kira looked down at their joined hands. Valthrien and human. Logic and emotion. Ice and warmth. It should not work. By every rule she had ever learned, it should be impossible. Yet here they were, holding on to each other in the middle of a war neither of them asked for. I cannot, she whispered. But she didn't let go of his hand. You can. You're just scared. Yes, she admitted. I am scared. Is that normal? Do humans feel this all the time? Pretty much. Being scared, Commander Thane moved quickly. Too quickly. Within 3 days of his arrival, he had assembled his fleet in orbit around Earth. 20 warships, each capable of destroying a city in seconds. He broadcast his message to the entire planet in 17 languages. People of Earth, the Valthrien Empire offers you a simple choice. Accept integration peacefully or be integrated by force. You have 24 hours to respond. Kira watched from the station's observation deck. She was technically off duty now, waiting for transport to her new assignment. But she couldn't leave. Couldn't look away. She had done what she could. Given Earth every advantage. Now she had to watch and see if it was enough. Earth's response came in 23 hours. It was delivered by an elderly Korean woman named Minister Hana, speaking for the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition. We reject your ultimatum. Earth will remain free. If you want our planet, you will have to take it from us. Thane's response was immediate. Very well. You have chosen war. The first battle happened at dawn over the Pacific Ocean. Thane's fleet descended with overwhelming force, expecting quick surrender. Instead, they found Earth's defenses ready and coordinated. Satellites that shouldn't have known Valthrien shield frequencies were already calibrated. Ground-based weapons hit weak points in ship armor. Fighter craft attacked in patterns designed specifically to counter Valthrien tactics. Kira's information was working. Earth was putting up a fight, but fighting wasn't winning. Thane had numbers and technology on his side. For every Valthrine ship damaged, Earth lost 10 fighters. For every successful defense, Thane adjusted his strategy. The battle was desperate and bloody, and Earth was losing slowly. Day found Kira still standing at the observation window 12 hours into the fighting. His uniform was dirty and his face was tired. "We're holding better than expected. Because of you. You are losing, not as fast as we would have. That's something." He stood beside her, watching the explosions bloom across the sky like deadly flowers. "They know someone gave us tactical data. He's investigating. He will determine it was me eventually. The evidence is clear. What will happen then? Execution. Probably public to discourage other potential traitors." Kira said it calmly, like discussing the weather. "It is the standard punishment." Day grabbed her arm and turned her to face him. His eyes were fierce, burning. "Then leave. Come to Earth, let us protect you. Your planet cannot protect itself. How can it protect me? We'll find a way. We always do." His grip tightened. "Please, Kira, don't just stand here waiting to die. Fight with us. Actually fight, not just from the shadows." Before Kira could answer, the station's alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. A voice announced, "Security breach. All personnel report to stations immediately." Day's communicator buzzed. He listened, then his face went pale. "They know Thane knows it was you. Security teams are coming for you right now." Kira felt strange. She should be afraid. Should be planning escape or defense. Instead, she felt almost relieved. The waiting was over. The choice had been made for her. Go return to Earth before they close the station. Not without you. Do not be foolish. Too late. I'm human, remember? We're all foolish, he grabbed her hand. Come on, I've got a shuttle in Bay 3. We can make it if we run. They will shoot down any shuttle that attempts unauthorized departure. Then we better fly really well. Something in Kira broke completely. Maybe it was the alarms. Maybe it was Day's hand in hers. Maybe it was just exhaustion from being divided for so long. She stopped thinking and started moving. Started running with Day through corridors she had walked 1,000 times as a commander. Now she was running through them as a fugitive. A traitor. Someone who had chosen a side and couldn't go back. They reached the shuttle bay just as security teams entered from the opposite side. "Stop, Commander Velthus, you are under arrest for treason." Day yanked her into the shuttle and sealed the door. His hands flew over the controls with practiced speed. "Strap in. This is going to be rough." The shuttle launched before getting clearance, before the bay doors were fully open. They scraped through with centimeters to spare, and suddenly they were in open space with alarms screaming and weapons powering up behind them. "They're targeting us," Kira said, watching the screens. "Multiple locks. We cannot evade. Watch me." Day threw the shuttle into a spiral dive, heading straight down toward Earth's atmosphere. Weapons fire streaked past them, close enough to shake the hull. "Come on, baby. Just a little farther." A blast hit their rear shield. The shuttle lurched. Warning lights filled the cockpit. Day kept flying, kept pushing, kept diving toward the blue planet below. "We will burn up on entry at this speed," Kira said. "Probably not. Maybe 60-40 odds. That is not reassuring. It's the best I've got." Another blast rocked them. Day compensated, angling the shuttle at an angle that should have torn it apart. Somehow it held together. "Hold on!" They hit atmosphere like a meteor. The shuttle screamed and shook. Heat washed over the hull, turning the view screen orange, then red, then white. Kira gripped her seat and watched Day fly with absolute focus, his hand steady, his expression calm. This foolish human, flying a damaged shuttle through fire and death, looked completely at peace. They broke through the clouds, still mostly intact. Day let out a whoop of triumph and angled them toward the ground. "Welcome to Earth, Commander. Sorry about the rough landing." They crashed in a forest somewhere in Korea. The shuttle plowed through trees before finally stopping in a clearing. Alarms beeped weakly. Smoke filled the cockpit. Day coughed and hit the door release. Nothing happened. He hit it again. Still nothing. Kira reached past him and tore the door off its hinges with her bare hands. Valthrine strength. Good for something. They stumbled out into cool night air. Trees surrounded them. Stars shone overhead. The same stars Kira had watched from the station. But down here they looked different. Warmer somehow. Day laughed. Actually laughed, standing in the wreckage of his shuttle, officially a fugitive. probably minutes from being hunted by the most powerful military in the galaxy.
We made it. We actually made it. You are insane. Yeah, probably.
But you're here, aren't you? On Earth, free. He looked at her with that smile, that impossible smile that had started all of this. Welcome home, Kira. Home. Kira looked around at the alien forest, at the strange planet, at the human standing beside her looking like he had just won the biggest prize in the universe. This wasn't home. Home was the Empire. Home was order and logic and ice. But maybe home could be something else. Something warm. We need to move, she said. They will send troops to recover me. Right. Yeah. My contact is about 2 kilometers west. He'll get us to the resistance base. Day started walking, then stopped and looked back. Hey, Kira? Thank you. For choosing us. For choosing this. I did not have a choice. Your stubborn human foolishness gave me no options. Sure. If that helps you sleep at night. He kept walking and Kira followed this human into a forest on a planet she barely knew, running from an empire she had served her entire life with no plan and no future, except whatever they made together. It should have felt terrifying. Instead, it felt like freedom. They reached the resistance base 3 hours later. It was hidden in old subway tunnels beneath Seoul. Humans rushed everywhere, coordinating defense efforts. Someone gave Kira strange looks. She was the enemy, the Valthrine commander who had come to conquer them. Some looked suspicious. Some looked grateful. Most just looked too tired to care. Minister Hana met them in what used to be a train platform. She was small and ancient and looked at Kira with eyes that saw everything. You are Commander Velthus, the one who helped us. Yes, Minister. And now you are here. Fugitive. Traitor to your own kind. Why? Kira looked at Day. He stood beside her, still smiling despite everything. Despite the war, despite the danger, despite the fact that they would probably all die in the coming weeks. He smiled because that was what humans did. They smiled in the darkness and called it hope. Because they were wrong, Kira said quietly. My people, the Empire, they believe emotions make you weak. But I have seen humans face certain death with courage. I have seen you love each other when love makes no sense. I have seen you choose hope over logic. You are not weak. You are the strongest species I have ever encountered, and I could not let them destroy that. Hana studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it reminded Kira of Day's smile. That same warmth, that same impossible hope. Welcome to the Resistance, Commander. We can use someone with your experience. I am no longer a commander. Then what are you? Kira didn't have an answer, not yet. But Day took her hand, there in front of everyone, and squeezed it gently. And somehow that was answer enough. The war continued above them. Thane's fleet pressed harder, angry now. Angry that Earth dared to resist. Angry that his own people had betrayed him. He made an announcement that was broadcast everywhere. Former Commander Kira Veltis is now an enemy of the Empire. Anyone who aids her will be considered a traitor. The penalty is death. In the tunnels below Seoul, Kira listened to her own death sentence and felt nothing. No fear, no regret. Just Day's hand in hers and the sound of humans preparing to fight. Preparing to defend the 3 weeks into the war. Earth was losing badly. Thane's fleet controlled the skies. Cities were burning. Millions had evacuated to underground shelters. The resistance fought hard, but hard wasn't enough against superior technology and numbers. Kira spent every waking hour helping plan defenses. Her knowledge of Valthrine tactics saved thousands of lives. Her strategic insight turned certain defeats into narrow survivals. But survival wasn't victory. It was just slower death. She was studying fleet movements when Day found her in the command room. He looked exhausted. Everyone looked exhausted. They had been fighting for 3 weeks without rest. Without hope. Just stubborn human refusal to surrender. You need to sleep, he said, putting a hand on her shoulder. Sleep is inefficient when there is work to complete. You're starting to sound Valthrine again. That's my signal to drag you away from the computers. He pulled her chair back. Come on. Orders from Minister Hana. Everyone takes a 4-hour break. Even stubborn former commanders, Kira wanted to argue. But she was tired. So tired her hands shook when she typed. 4 hours will not change anything. Maybe not. But you'll feel better. Clear head. Better decisions. He led her through the tunnels to a small room that served as her quarters. Just a bed, a desk, and a single lamp. Nothing like her luxurious commander's quarters on the station, but somehow it felt more like home. Day sat on the edge of the bed. Talk to me. What's going on in that big brain? We are going to lose. Tell me something I don't know. Kira looked at him. Really looked? He had dark circles under his eyes. His hands were covered in small cuts from repairs. His smile was tired, but it was still there, still fighting to exist despite everything. How do you keep hoping? When logic says there is no chance. Hope isn't about logic. It's about refusing to give up even when we should. It's maybe the most human thing there is. He took her hand. This had become natural between them. This touch. This connection. We're probably going to lose, Kira, but we're going to make it count. We're going to show the Empire that Earth doesn't bow, that we'd rather die free than live controlled. That is not comforting. Yeah, I'm not great at inspirational speeches. I leave those to Minister Hana. He smiled, and it made something warm bloom in Kira's chest. But I'm really glad you're here. Even if we lose, even if this all ends badly, I'm glad I got to know you. The real you, not the Ice Queen. Kira felt that tightness in her chest again, that feeling that had no name. Or maybe it did have a name. Maybe she just hadn't been brave enough to say it. I am glad too. You made me feel things I was taught were impossible. You made me want things I should not want, like what? Like this. Being here, fighting beside you, holding your hand, wanting to wake up tomorrow just to see your smile again. The words came out quiet, honest, terrifying. Day's expression changed, got softer, got more intense. Kira, that sounds like... The alarms cut him off. Red lights flashed. A voice shouted through the tunnels. Incoming assault! All fighters to positions. This is not a drill, they ran. Down corridors upstairs to the main command center where Minister Hana coordinated defenses. Screens showed the situation. Thane's entire fleet was descending on Seoul. Every ship, every weapon. This was the final assault. The killing blow. He knows we are here, Kira said immediately. He found the base. How? Minister Hana demanded. Valthrine scanners. He has been searching for my biosignature. I am the only Valthrine on the planet. I led him directly to you. Kira felt cold, so cold. I have killed you all. Stop that. Day grabbed her shoulders. You saved us. For 3 weeks we've survived because of you. If this is the end, we face it together. He wants me. If I surrender, he might spare the city, and he might destroy it anyway. You know Thane, you know he doesn't show mercy. Kira did know. Thane would make an example of Sol regardless. Would kill everyone as punishment for helping a traitor. Her surrender would mean nothing. Change nothing. But at least she wouldn't have to watch Day die. Watch all these brave humans die because of her. She pulled away from him and started toward the exit. Day realized what she was doing and moved to block her path. No, absolutely not. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. It is logical. One life for millions. It's also pointless. Please, Kira, stay, fight with us. If we're going to die, let's die fighting together. Minister Hana was shouting orders. Fighters were scrambling. The city above them was beginning to burn. Everything was falling apart. Everything was ending. And Day stood between Kira and the door, refusing to let her go, looking at her with those eyes full of feeling. Full of faith. Full of love, that was the word. That was the feeling that had been growing in her chest for months. Love. Illogical. Impossible. Beautiful. I cannot let you die, Kira whispered. Then help us live, please. Something in Kira shifted, broke, reformed into something new. She had been trying to save them through sacrifice, through old Valthrine logic that said one death was better than many. But humans didn't think that way. They fought together, lived together, died together if necessary. That was their strength. Minister Hana, Kira said, her voice clear and strong. I have a plan. It is dangerous and probably will fail, but it is better than waiting here to die. The old woman looked at her. Tell me. Thane wants me, wants to make an example of me. We use that. We draw him down, all the way down into a trap. What kind of trap? Kira looked at the screens, calculating distances and blast radiuses and probability of success. The numbers were not good, but numbers had never stopped humans before. The kind that requires human courage and Valthrine tactical knowledge. The kind where we actually fight back, Day grinned. Now that's what I'm talking about. What do you need? Every fighter you have, every weapon, And bait. Me. I broadcast my location, he comes for me personally, and we hit him with everything Earth has left. That's suicide. Yes. But better than waiting to be slaughtered. At least this way we control how we die. Minister Hana was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. Do it. Coordinate with our military commanders. If this is our last fight, we make it legendary. The next hour moved in fast forward. Kira broadcast her coordinates on Valthrine military frequencies, a direct challenge to Thane. Come and get me, Commander. If you dare face the traitor you created, he responded immediately. I will enjoy executing you personally, Veltus. Watch the sky. Thane's flagship descended, massive and deadly. Behind it came support ships, fighters, enough firepower to level the entire city. He was bringing everything just to kill one traitor. Good. The bigger the force, the bigger the explosion. Kira stood on the roof of a broken building in the heart of Seoul. Alone. Visible. Perfect bait. Below her, hidden in ruins and tunnels, Earth's remaining forces waited. Above her, Thane's ship grew larger, blocking out the stars. Her communicator buzzed. Day's voice, and still time to run. I do not run. Not anymore, I know. Just had to offer, Kira. Whatever happens next, I want you to know something. I love you. That's it. Just wanted to say it before things get stupid. Kira felt that warmth spread through her entire body. Love. He loved her. This foolish human loved a former enemy, a traitor, a person who had been raised to not even understand the concept, and somehow, impossibly, she loved him back. I love you too, she said. The words felt strange in her mouth, foreign, perfect. Now be ready. This is going to be loud. Thane's flagship stopped directly overhead. A spotlight hit her, bright enough to blind. His voice boomed from speakers. Kira Velthus, you are charged with treason against the Empire. Come quietly and your death will be quick. Resist and it will take days. I have a counteroffer, Commander. Go back to the Empire and tell them Earth is not for taking. Tell them humans fight for their freedom. Tell them the Ice Queen chose warmth over cold, chose love over logic, and tell them that if they come back, we will fight again. We will always fight. Brave words from a dead woman. The flagship's weapons powered up. Any last words? Yes, now, Day, now. Everything exploded at once. From every building, every tunnel, every hidden position, Earth's forces fired. Everything they had. Every weapon. Every missile. Every last desperate shot. The sky lit up like a second sun. Thane's shields held for exactly 4 seconds before collapsing. Then the real damage began. Day's team had spent 3 weeks planting explosives in the ruins. Not random placement. Calculated positions. Using Kira's knowledge of Valthrine shield harmonics. When the shields failed, the explosives triggered in a sequence designed to cascade, to amplify, to turn an entire city block into a weapon. The flagship lurched, listed, started falling. Thane tried to pull up, but Earth's fighters swarmed him. Tiny ships against a monster. They should have been swatted away like insects. Instead, they moved in perfect coordination, dancing between weapons fire, hitting weak points, being brave and foolish and absolutely human. The flagship crashed 3 blocks away. The impact shook the ground like an earthquake. Fire bloomed into the sky. And for the first time in the entire war, humans started cheering. Kira jumped from her building, using Valthrine's strength to survive the fall. She ran toward the crash site, ran past celebrating humans. Past Day, who tried to grab her, straight into the burning wreckage of Thane's ship. She found him in the coma. The war did not end with Thane's death. It paused. The remaining Valthrine ships retreated to defensive positions, confused and leaderless. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth had breathing room. Time to heal. Time to rebuild. Time to prepare for what came next. Kira spent those weeks doing something she had never done before. Living. Not just existing. Not just following orders. Actually living. Day's sister insisted Kira stay with her family while the military quarters were repaired. You saved my brother. You saved Earth. You stay here. I cook for you. You eat, you rest. No arguing. So Kira found herself in a small apartment in a partially destroyed building, surrounded by humans going about their daily lives. The children drew pictures of the battle. Day's sister cooked despite limited supplies. Neighbors gathered to share food and stories and comfort. It was chaotic and loud and nothing like the ordered existence Kira had known. It was wonderful. She still struggled. Old habits died hard. She woke early and tried to follow military routines. She stood when others sat. She kept her back straight and her face blank, until Day's nephew climbed into her lap one morning and declared she was too stiff and needed to relax or her face would stay frozen forever. Day laughed so hard he almost fell over. Kid's got a point. You still look like you're waiting for orders sometimes. I do not know how else to be. The Valthrine raised me to be a soldier, to be controlled. This, she gestured at the messy apartment, the laughing family, the chaos. This is new. Strange. Strange good or strange bad? Kira thought about it. Really thought. Strange good, I think. It is uncomfortable, but also warm. Safe. Like your hand in mine. Day took her hand right then, in front of his whole family. His sister made a knowing sound. His niece giggled. But Kira didn't pull away. She was learning. Touch was good. Connection was good, even when it made her feel vulnerable and exposed and terrified. One evening, Day took her to the roof. The city was still mostly dark, power being rationed, but the stars were bright, brighter than she had ever seen them from a planet's surface. They sat together on the edge, legs dangling over nothingness, watching the universe turn above them. Tell me about your childhood, Day said quietly. What was it like growing up, Valthrine? Cold, efficient. We were raised in education centers. No families. No attachment. We learned tactics, strategy, logic. Emotion was weakness to be eliminated. By age 10, I could plan military campaigns. By age 15, I had no fear, no joy, no sadness. Nothing except duty and purpose. That sounds lonely. You keep using that word. I am beginning to understand why. Yes, it was lonely. But I did not know there was any other way to exist. The Valthrine convinced us that our way was correct, that other species were inferior because they felt things, that we had evolved beyond such primitive states. She paused. They were wrong, yeah? Yes, emotions are not weakness. They are what make life meaningful. I would rather feel pain and love and fear and joy than feel nothing at all. You taught me that. All of you humans. You taught me what the Empire never could, that being alive is more than just existing. Day bumped her shoulder with his. You're getting poetic. That's very un-Valthrine of you. Perhaps I am becoming more human. Perhaps you're just becoming yourself. The person you were meant to be before the Empire told you who to be. Kira looked at him, at this human who had changed everything, who had seen past her cold exterior to something worth saving underneath. Why did you keep trying with me? In the beginning, when I was cruel. When I dismissed you, why did you continue bringing me coffee and smiling like nothing was wrong? Day was quiet for a moment. My parents died when I was 12. An accident at their workplace. For a long time after, I was really angry, really cold. I pushed everyone away, until my sister forced me to come live with her. She kept being kind even when I was awful, kept making me meals, kept talking to me, kept being there. Eventually, her warmth melted through my ice, taught me that being hurt doesn't mean staying frozen, that opening up again is braver than staying closed. He squeezed her hand. When I met you, I saw that same ice, same walls, same fear. I thought maybe if I just kept being warm, kept being present, you might thaw too. Guess I was right. I love you, Kira said. The words were easier now. Still strange, but easier. I do not fully understand what that means or how to do it correctly, but I know that when you smile, I feel warm. When you are near, I feel safe. When I think about losing you, I feel pain. That is love, yes? Yeah, that's love. Day turned to face her fully. And for the record, you're doing it perfectly. There's no correct way. You just feel it and let yourself be honest about it. He kissed her then. Gentle, soft. A question more than a demand. Kira had never been kissed before. The Valthrine did not do such things. It was too intimate. Too vulnerable. Too emotional. It was perfect. They sat on that roof for hours. Talking. Kissing. Being together in comfortable silence. Learning each other. Learning how to be two people becoming one partnership. When they finally climbed back down, Kira felt different, lighter, more complete. But peace never lasted long. 3 days later, Minister Hana summoned them to a meeting. The old woman looked tired but determined. We have received communication from the Valthrine Council. They wish to negotiate. A trap, Kira said immediately. Perhaps, but we must try. If there is any chance to end this without more bloodshed, we take it. Hana looked at Kira seriously. They specifically requested you be present. They want to speak with their former commander. They want to execute me publicly. Probably, but they also might be genuinely interested in peace. Your defection shocked the Empire. Some of their younger generation are questioning the old ways. Your action started something, Kira. A revolution of thought. Day grabbed Kira's hand under the table. She's not going anywhere near them. It's too dangerous. He is right, Kira said. But I must go anyway. If there is a chance for peace, I cannot let my fear stop it. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Not negotiable. You go, I go. Partners, remember? He looked at her with those stubborn human eyes. The ones that never gave up. Never surrendered. Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't sacrifice yourself stupidly. That's my job now, Minister Hana smiled. It is decided then. We meet the Valthrine delegation in neutral space. In 3 days. Prepare yourselves. Those 3 days were strange. Kira trained Day in Valthrine customs. How to stand. How to speak. What gestures meant what. He was a terrible student, constantly joking when he should be serious. But he tried. That mattered more than success. In return, Day taught her more about being human, about telling jokes, about casual conversation, about being imperfect and accepting it. They cooked together, walked through the recovering city together, slept in the same small room wrapped around each other, sharing warmth in the darkness. Are you afraid? He asked the night before the meeting. Yes, but I am also hopeful. Strange. I never had hope before. It is uncomfortable but also good. That's the human in you coming out. We're always hoping for impossible things. It's kind of our thing. I am not human. No, but you're not fully Valthrine anymore either. You're something new. Something better, maybe. He kissed her forehead. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. Together, Kira repeated. The word felt like a promise. Like safety. Like home. The meeting took place on a neutral station, run by an independent species. The Valthrine delegation arrived in force, 10 officials, including 2 council members. They looked at Kira with a mixture of disgust and curiosity. At Day with barely concealed contempt. The lead council member, an elderly Valthrine named Theron, spoke first. Commander Veltis, or should we say former commander, traitor, the one who broke her oaths? I am Kira, just Kira, and I broke nothing that mattered. I found something better. Better? You threw away honor, glory, your entire identity. For what, for these emotional creatures? For this human? Theron gestured dismissively at Day. Yes, for them, for him, for the chance to feel something real instead of pretending emptiness is strength. Kira stood taller. The Empire taught me that emotions are weakness, but I have seen humans face death with courage born of love. I have seen them sacrifice for each other because they care. I have seen them choose hope when logic demands surrender. That is not weakness. That is the truest strength there is. Theron looked shocked. Other council members whispered among themselves. Finally, he spoke again. You truly believe this, I know this. I have lived both ways. Cold and warm. Empty and full. Alone and connected. There is no comparison. The Valthrine way is not superior. It is simply afraid. Afraid to feel. Afraid to risk pain. Afraid to truly live. Careful, former commander. Your words approach blasphemy. Good. Perhaps it is time for blasphemy. Perhaps it is time for the Empire to evolve again, not away from emotions but toward understanding them, toward balance between logic and feeling. Theron was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost uncertain. The council is divided. Some wish to make an example of you and destroy Earth completely. Others wish to study this phenomenon. To understand how our greatest commander could be transformed so completely, and some, a small minority, wonder if P6 months passed. Earth rebuilt slowly but steadily. Cities rose from ruins. People returned to their homes. Life continued in that stubborn human way, refusing to be broken by war or hardship or near extinction. Kira adapted to her new role as ambassador. It was strange work, very different from military command. She spent her days mediating between species, translating cultures, building bridges between worlds that had been enemies. Some days were frustrating. Some days she wanted to return to the simplicity of military orders. But most days were good, because most days included Day. They lived together now in a small apartment overlooking the Han River. Nothing fancy. Just 2 rooms and a kitchen. But it was theirs. They cooked meals together, badly at first, then better. They argued about small things like who left dishes in the sink. They fell asleep watching old movies. They lived ordinary lives, and Kira discovered that ordinary was extraordinary when shared with someone you loved. But peace was fragile. The Valthrine Empire kept its word about not attacking, but tensions remained. The younger generation of Valthrine grew curious about emotions, about this thing called love that had transformed their greatest commander. But the old guard resisted. Change frightened them. Emotions frightened them. They wanted things to stay cold and controlled and predictable. The crisis came on a Tuesday. Kira was in a council meeting when the alarm sounded. Not attack alarms, communication alarms. The Valthrine Council was broadcasting an emergency message across all frequencies. Council member Theron's face appeared on every screen. People of the Valthrine Empire, for 6 months we have observed the human experiment. We have watched them rebuild, watched them live with their emotions. And we have seen something disturbing. Our own young people are becoming infected. They are questioning our ways, seeking to feel rather than think. This cannot continue. Effective immediately, all contact with Earth is severed. Any Valthrine who continues to pursue emotional connection will be removed from society. This is for the good of the Empire. The message ended. Silence filled the room. Then everyone started talking at once. Minister Hana raised her hand for quiet. Ambassador Kira, what does this mean? It means the old guard won. They are afraid. Afraid that what happened to me will happen to others. Afraid of losing control. They are cutting off Earth to prevent the spread of emotional awakening. Can they do that? Just isolate us? They have the power, the military strength. Yes, they can. Kira felt cold, that old familiar cold creeping back. And there is something else. Theron said any Valthrine pursuing emotional connection would be removed. He means me. They are coming for me. Day burst into the room. He had been listening to the broadcast from his workshop. We don't let them take you. We fought a war already. We'll fight another one if we have to. You cannot fight the entire empire. Today was a warning. Tomorrow they send ships. Kira stood up, decision forming in her mind. Decision she had been dreading for months. I must go back. What? No, absolutely not. Day grabbed her arm. They'll execute you. Perhaps. Or perhaps I can speak to them. Make them understand. The young Valthrine are already questioning. Already changing. Maybe I can help that change grow instead of being crushed. She touched his face gently. I have to try, Day. If I do nothing, war comes to Earth again. Everything we fought for will be destroyed. Minister Hana spoke carefully. This is your choice, Ambassador. We will support whatever you decide. But know that Earth stands with you. You are one of us now. Kira felt warmth spread through her chest. One of us, she was one of them. Part of something bigger than herself. Part of a family that extended across an entire planet. Thank you, Minister. But this is something I must do alone. Not alone. Day's voice was firm, stubborn. I'm coming with you. No, it is too dangerous. That's why I'm coming. Someone needs to watch your back. Someone needs to remind you that you're not the Ice Queen anymore. You're Kira, my Kira, and you don't face the Empire alone. D, they will kill you just for being human, just for being near me. Then I guess we better be really convincing. He smiled that smile, the one that had started everything. The one that melted ice and broke walls and made impossible things possible. Besides, you need someone to tell your story properly. Humans are good at stories. Let me help, Kira wanted to argue, wanted to order him to stay safe. But she knew that expression. That stubborn human refusal to be sensible. She had learned to love that stubbornness, even when it terrified her. Together then, she said quietly. Together. Always. They left Earth 2 days later on a small ship. Just the 2 of them. No weapons, no military escort. Just 2 people going to face an empire armed with nothing but words and hope and love. It should have been suicide. Probably was suicide. But they went anyway. The journey took a week. They spent it preparing. Kira taught Day everything about Valthrine culture, history, and philosophy. Day taught her how to tell a story that moved hearts rather than just informed minds. They practiced speeches, rehearsed arguments, made love like it might be the last time, prepared themselves for whatever came next. When they arrived at the Valthrine homeworld, they were arrested immediately. Separated, Kira was taken to a holding cell designed for high-security prisoners. She had been in cells like this before when training, never thought she would be in one as the prisoner. Hours passed, maybe days. Time moved strangely in the white room with no windows. Finally, the door opened. Council member Theron entered alone. He looked older than she remembered. Tired. Kira Veltis, you returned. I did not think you would. I came to speak. To make you understand. Understand what? That you betrayed everything we are? That you chose weakness over strength? But his voice lacked conviction. He sounded more confused than angry. I chose life over existence, feeling over emptiness, love over loneliness. That is not betrayal. That is evolution. Kira stood up, meeting his eyes. You are afraid, Theron. All of you on the council. You are afraid that if Valthrine start feeling, we will lose control, lose our power, lose ourselves. Yes, he admitted quietly. We are afraid. Emotions destroyed civilizations, started wars, created chaos. We eliminated them to survive. You eliminated them to hide, to avoid pain. But in avoiding pain, you also avoided joy, avoided love, avoided meaning. You survived, but you stopped living. Is that truly superior? Theron sat down heavily. I have lived 300 years, Kira. I have served the Empire all that time. Never questioned, never doubted, until I met you again, until I saw what you became. Now I question everything. Late at night alone, I wonder what I have missed, what I have sacrificed. And I'm afraid the answer is everything. Then help me. Help the young ones who are already questioning. Let emotions return to the Valthrine. Not as weakness, but as strength balanced with logic. We can be both thinking and feeling, both strong and vulnerable. We can evolve again. The Council will never agree. They see emotions as infection to be eradicated. Then we change the Council. Start a revolution. You are powerful, Theron, respected. If you speak for change, others will listen. And if they do not, if they choose to execute you as an example, then I die knowing I tried. Knowing I lived truly, even if briefly, that is better than centuries of empty existence. She paused. Where is Day? The human who came with me? In another cell, also awaiting judgment. Theron looked at her curiously. You love him? Truly love him. I saw it when you said his name. Your entire expression changed. That is emotion. Pure and undeniable. Yes, I love him. He taught me how. And loving him makes me stronger, not weaker. Makes me want to fight for a better future. Makes me brave enough to face you and the Council and whatever comes next. That is the power of emotion. It gives you something worth fighting for. Theron was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost wondering. What does it feel like, love? Like fire and safety at the same time? Like fear and courage existing together? Like being more yourself because someone else sees you truly and accepts everything they find? It is terrifying and wonderful and worth everything it costs. I envy you, Theron whispered. 300 years and I have never felt what you describe. Never knew such things were possible. They are possible, even for you, even now. It is never too late to start feeling, Theron. Never too late to thaw. He stood up slowly. I will bring your case before the full council tomorrow. I will speak for you. For change. For the possibility of evolution. I cannot promise success. The old guard is strong, but I will try. Thank you. Do not thank me yet. If we fail, you die. Your human dies, and the hope for change dies with you. And if we succeed, then everything changes. The entire empire, the entire galaxy, we become something new, something we have never been. He moved to the door, then stopped. Kira, I hope you're right. I hope emotions make us stronger. Because I am very tired of being empty. He left. Kira sat alone in the white cell and waited for tomorrow, for judgment, for the moment when everything would be decided. She was not afraid. Not really. She had Day somewhere in this building. She had love in her heart. She had lived truly. Whatever came next, she was ready. The council chamber was enormous,